Hey, welcome back. This is Go Ask Sawyer. This is Jamie Sawyer, your lovely host. Someday you'll get to see me. And today I have with me the absolute fabulous king himself, Anthony. I'm going to say David. That's not your name, but Anthony Staton. I have so many names for you.
You do, and I love it. I love it.
What is your name right here today?
Let's just stick with Staton. Staton. Just one word, one name. I want to give a little share vibe. So just Staton.
Staton is here, and his theme is the journey to loving yourself. And I feel like Staton has been on a journey for maybe as long as me, and that's kind of where our connection, our love for each other really stemmed from. So today he's going to be sharing with us just lessons he's learned. But before we get started, go ahead and leave that review, leave a little comment.
Yes.
So, Staton, I asked a couple questions in the beginning, but what is like 1 to 2 things that can help our friends out here know who you are?
1 to 2 things. I'm Staton. I am born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am a Pisces. I love long walks on the beach. No, I mean, I do, but I'm not going to go down that route. But no, when I tell people who is Staton, I just simply say he or I am just a dope Pisces, Black, gay. I'm an adventurer. I am a only child. I am a writer. I am a music head. I'm a movie head. I love all things pop culture. I'm a foodie. I'm a wino.
You didn't even say educator.
And I am an educator, yes. I'm an educator. Yeah. I'm just somebody who is just always just trying to make the best out of life. Life is, to me, one big adventure, and I just want to have the best adventure possible.
Well, I think if I know anything about you, you 100% are living your life to the fullest. And I do feel like we're going to get into this, but this last year, you have kind of just like exploded into this Black king that you are, which we're going to get into.
Yes.
You have just a favorite place, a favorite song, or like a favorite movie that I need to share this with you?
So favorite song is difficult because I am such a music head. There are so many things that pop out. Typically when somebody asks what my favorite song is, I'll give you what right now current for me. Right now it is Tim's Free Mind. That is my favorite song as of right now, just because being my Pisces self, I am always in my head. I'm such an overthinker, and the vibe and storyline of that song is something that is just so relatable to me. That's my favorite song. Favorite movie, hands down, Low Down Dirty Shame. If you have not seen it, it is funny, hilarious. It's a 90s movie, I believe I would have to say. Late 90s, early 2000s. But yes, one of my favorite movies. It's one of the only movies that I literally, when you watch it with me, I will quote every line in the movie.
Oh, you're that?
Yes, I am that guy.
You said Low Down Dirty Shame.
Low Down Dirty Shame. It stars Jada Pinkett and Keenan, Ivory, Wayans.
Okay, well, it's added to my list. Let's get into this journey of your beautiful self. My first question for you was, who is Anthony Staton and how has he changed over the last 3 to 4 years? And if we even think back, that's like 2019. So the world's about to shut down.
Yes.
You changed, and feel free to just like go into what you need. But
so 3-4 years ago, I was a dean at that time. So I was a dean of culture. That was my career. I was with work. I was just starting to I was trying to find my groove with being a dean of culture. I had just started grad school. So I was in the process of getting my master's and my principal's license. And I was just trying to enjoy it as much as possible. Being a dean of culture now, or dean of students at the time, I always tell people it was very difficult for me because I am such just joyful person. So when I was in the classroom, I did so many things to make my job fun with my kids while teaching them. And then when I transferred out of the classroom to administration, I felt like I lost that joy just because I started realizing that every time I came in contact with a scholar of ours, it was always around something negative, because typically I would deal with behavior issues. Typically when you're dealing with behavior issues, it's not for the great things that our kids do, it's for the mistakes that they make. And so I started to lose myself myself and I started to question, like, is this what I really want to do? So that's my work life. On top of that, I was in a relationship with someone that I had to keep a secret. And so I found myself, one, not being loved out loud, and two, trying to find comfort in a relationship where, again, I wasn't being loved out loud, but also where I had to put my values and beliefs and things that I once stated were non-negotiables on a shelf for someone. I found myself in love with someone. I was in love with their potential and not their reality.
You and I have talked about this a lot, where we're in love with what they could be or what the relationship could be. And seeing like what the person is showing us.
Yes.
I think it's so hard when we have this love and integrity, but we keep shelving it, or we keep putting it aside, like, okay, that's for later. That's for later. Right. So you don't actually ever feel like the relationship is real. Like you're always even hiding a part of yourself.
Yes. And that's what I was doing. And in that moment, I didn't feel that way. In the moment, I'm with this guy. Things are great. You know, are they 100% where I want them to be? No, but he's giving this and, you know, he's giving a little bit of that. And so I'll take it, you know? So I was there and I was semi-content.
Do you think you realize you were semi-content?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Not only just was I semi-content, but looking back now, I just realized all of the red flags that I ignored. When they tell you that when someone shows you their true colors, believe them. I feel like this person was like, this is me. And I was like, no, it's not. You're this person that I see in my head. And I know you're this person and I'm going to get you to be this person. And then when you become this person, we are going to be like happily ever after. And it's going to be amazing. And
they're going to.
Yes. And you're going to change yourself for me. Yes.
And you're going to be the one. And that was that validation. I am one that finally lets you be this person that I see in your head.
Yes.
And
yes.
You and I have bonded over. I feel like we've even sat in your office and cried about, you and I work in the same place. And I feel like sometimes the job is showing you what it is. And you're like, but no, it's not that. And I feel like we get over that as well. Like, is this real? Is this not? Relationships. And so often we just keep ignoring because we just want, I don't know if it's that we want what we want, or we want the validation, or we just want to be chosen, or we want to be right.
Well, for me, when it came to him, it was the chosen piece, but it was also the challenge for me. When I first met this person, I was like, and for sake of name, we'll call this person Andrew.
Right, I like Andrew.
So when I met Andrew, I was like, oh my God, this guy is 6'3", whatever, big hands, like dresses nice. I never met anybody like that, especially anybody who, well, one, was gay, or two, I feel like I had a chance with. So when I saw him, I instantly was like, I'm gonna get him. And so it became like this challenge for me. And so when I got him, I was like, okay. And then the feelings came, and then the intimate moments came, and then that's when you're like, oh wow, this could really be something. Okay, let me help us get there.
Let me help us get there.
Yes, let me help us.
Yes.
Not you and I help us get there, but let me help us get there. So I went through that 5-year relationship, and it was 5 years on and off, ups and downs. That's a whole nother podcast and conversation, but through that, I was ignoring red signs. I was constantly putting my pieces of myself on a shelf. And I got to this point where I started not to recognize myself. I started to feel like I was losing who I was, and the relationship became more draining and suffocating than anything. And I would literally feel like when we were in the same room with each other, I would feel like I was in this cage. And I was like, I can't breathe. Like, I really cannot breathe. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And so I would say, okay, well, let me try to do things to fix this. Let me find ways to get air. And so we traveled. And that helped for the most part. I would try to do like conversation games to get us talking to one another. We did therapy. We did individual therapy and couples therapy. It all fell to the wayside because...
You think things as like Band-Aids And so you weren't dealing with the actual
Yes.
where before I came out, like I traveled, I went to therapy, I did all this stuff because I thought I'd fix it, but there was nothing to fix.
Right.
Or like you weren't dealing with what the actual issue was.
That's exactly what it was. And it was our last and final trip together. I believe it was our last and final trip where I was like, I'm still coming home from this trip and I still feel suffocated. I still feel like this isn't working. And that's kind of when I realized these are just temporary fixes. These are just, like you said, Band-Aids. What's the real root of the problem? For me, it was I kept breaking pieces of myself off to give to him to fix him. And after so long, it's like I have nothing left to give you. And then on top of that, then we add in the infidelity and the trust issues and the communication issues. And then on top of that, you're not even out. So it's like,
I can't even have the relationship I want.
Exactly. And so it's like, not only do you want me to juggle you not being out and deal with that, but now I also have to deal with you cheating, and I have to deal with us not being able to talk and communicate, and then not being able to trust you. And so then you just get to a point like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? So it literally became this decision of me or you. And so I was like, okay, Staton, for 5 years now, you've chose him. Well, what happened if you chose you? So I was like, okay, we're going to do that. And that was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make.
And I think that that's one of the hardest decisions anyone. I mean, to choose yourself, because I feel like deep down, if I choose myself, that other person will eventually go away.
For sure. And not even just go away, but in the process of choosing me, you get told you're selfish, and you get told, why are you hurting me? And then you're sitting there telling this person like, hey, I need to choose me. And they're crying and they're trying to do everything to make you feel like the choice you are making is wrong, selfish, not right. And so enduring all of that, you still have to not waver and say, I'm sorry you feel that way, but like, I'm going to choose me. And
I do think you have to bottom in your relationship, hold that ground.
Yes.
If maybe that year before you would have been like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm silly me, we'll keep working on it. But you probably got to a bottom place that it was finally just like, I'm choosing me.
Yeah. And I think it was funny because the moment I realized I was at that bottom, or I was like, this is a pattern, was when Andrew was like, I'll do better. And he started saying things and I was like, wait a minute, this is the same exact thing you said before. And before that, and before that. And so it was literally in the moment we were downstairs by my door and I was trying, he was getting ready to leave and we were getting ready to be done. And he was like making this final plead. And in this plea, I was like, this is deja vu. That's because this is your pattern. This is what you say to me to keep me. And so like, once you realize those patterns, this is all smoke and mirrors. This is a facade and you are doing this to get me. And then once you get me, you're going to go right back to your regular ways. And I can't do that again with you. And so that's when you make the decision to like break that cycle.
I am so proud of you for that. And I know that that's not easy at all. And hopefully, I think I have 9 listeners by now. Hopefully the 9 listeners are like,
okay, 9 listeners. 9 listeners.
But like, I'm sure anyone can sit in their life and either maybe they're sitting in a relationship right now where they're like, oh shit, that's happening now. Or they're like, yeah, I've been there before. And again, this is not easy. Even when you see the cycle, I've been in a relationship, I've been with friends where you see it and you're like, oh, okay, one more chance.
Right.
One more chance. You end this and you start your healing journey.
Yep.
You and I talked a lot during that. And there's a question I had for you. I remember you saying to me at the end of like April or May last year, you said something like, how do you know when it's better? Or how do you know when you're done healing or something like that? And I said, I don't know, but one day you just kind of wake up and it's not even like you're sad anymore. It almost feels like you've walked to the other side.
Yes.
You remember that comment we had?
Yes.
Well, what have you done on this journey? And I mean, you can talk about whatever. Did you read books? Did you go away? Did you sit in a hole? Like, what did you do after that breakup to kind of, because I'm sure you were like, I don't want to repeat this again. I don't want to go in the closet again, or I don't want to go through this again. What did you do to get back to yourself?
So the first thing I did was I sat in it. I sat in the hurt. I sat in the pain. I sat in my emotions, because one thing that I've learned that you really have to do in a breakup is you have to really be realistic with your feelings, with yourself. And I think with me, a lot of times when I would break up with people, I would like break up with them and be like, okay, I'm done. Woo, let's go party. I'm single. Yay. And then, right. And I'm like, and you go out and you dance and you mingle and, and you have all of this fun. And then all of a sudden, you live in a fast lane. And all of a sudden you hit this wall of emotions that you never dealt with. And so I was so intentional about sitting and dealing with my emotions from the jump, because I had to remind myself, despite all of the bad things that transpired within a relationship, there were a lot of good things that happened. Andrew and I had a lot of great moments with each other and that's why I fell in love with him the way I did. And so knowing that those moments were no longer going to be, that was a hard pill to swallow. And I would never forget, I was sitting on my balcony and I was just thinking, and I was thinking about everything that we did that was good. And it hit me in that moment, you're not going to have those moments anymore with him.
Did that make you want to call him, text him? Did that make you guess yourself? Being acknowledged?
Yep. It was a moment of acceptance for me. And I literally broke down and I cried. And when I got done crying, it was kind of one of those moments of like, whew, okay. Like I'm ready to let that go. And so that was the first step, just really sitting in my feelings. And that took a little minute. And to kind of help with that, I really focused on therapy. I had already kind of started therapy a couple weeks prior to us breaking up. I really dived into therapy and, I did the work. She really pushed me in my feelings and my thinking and my healing. And so that was a huge, huge asset to my healing, was my therapy. And then I started reading books, articles, how do you properly break up?
What was the book? Just love?
It was called Being Single is Your Superpower. Right. And I recommend that book to anybody who is going through who has just recently broken up with someone. The one thing that I loved about the book was it was a workbook. And again, it's called Being Single is Your Superpower. And it really it breaks the book up in these different categories. And so it talks about focusing on your why. Why do you want to date? What are your non-negotiables? What do you want this person to bring to the relationship? What does your whole phase look like? And it tells you when you start to date again, what does dating look like for you? Is it dating multiple people? Is it focused on one person? And so that really caused me to really sit and reflect. Why do I want to be in a relationship? What do I want? And so once I was able to figure all of that out and figure out my why behind my dating, that's what I led with. And so when I started talking to people, I knew right away, no, you don't fit my why. No, you're just going to be a fun time tonight and that's it. And so once you're able to distinguish that, then you're kind of able to move and groove a little bit different.
Anyone that's been on a journey and they say, have you done the work? They're like, well, what's the work? It's like, well, it's the work. But the work is sitting with yourself. The work is examining yourself. The work is looking at your past, your trauma, your attachment. I'm anxious attachment. I freak out if you don't text me back right away. I did something wrong. And I had to figure out why I was like that. Sit with, like you just said, why am I dating? If you can't answer why you're dating, I think you should be dating.
Right.
Because then you're just either playing with people or you don't even know what you want. And then that's when the red flags, like you ignore all those red flags. I love therapy. You seem to be in a happy relationship right now. But before, we're not talking about that yet. Before we do that, you have the Staton, Anthony Staton, Mr. Staton, 5th grade math teacher, to dean, to chief of culture, to your lives are absolutely beautiful and so long. Do you accept and own who you are in this moment now more than you ever have? Or do you?
Yes to both. Have I grown and found a new level of acceptance for myself? Hands down. But am I fully there yet? No, Mike. I'm still healing. I'm still working on myself. I'm still trying to find out how to be a better version of myself. Again, that's through therapy and that's through reflections. And, I'm just chipping away at stuff. And, hey, I'm recognizing I have certain defense mechanisms that I want to tear down and get rid of. And I'm noticing patterns that I do in relationships. And so those are the things that I talk through with my therapist about, just how to live better, and how to be more comfortable with myself. I think this is one of your questions that you had, that we kind of had talked about. I still struggle with my body
and being gay, if you don't mind. Both of those things to accept, like, are you out? Are you still certain places you are, certain places you aren't? And I know your body, you've worked to accept that as well.
Yeah. And I'm not even fully there. It was so many times with my body where I would go into the mirror And the first thing I would do when I looked in the mirror was, I want to change that. I want to lose weight here. I want to lose weight here. I want a flatter stomach. I want my thighs to be just a little bit slimmer so I can fit into those pair of pants. And I want that back fat to go away. I want those rolls gone. Like, I did that. And to be honest and transparent, there are still times that I do that. Now, is it as much as before? No. But I do find myself now looking in the mirror and being like, okay, hey, all righty. And so to me, that's growth.
Yeah.
So I want to get to a place where I'm 100% in the mirror looking at my body like, yes, hey, that role is there. And that's just something for my boyfriend to hold on to, like, hey.
Time to cut.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, so I'm still working on that. And I think that's what I try to always acknowledge is there's still work to be done. I have never arrived. And I'm okay with that,
And I think that's important. Like the whole healing journey, you're never there. Because
Right.
if you heal one thing, I feel like then another layer comes down. You're like, well, didn't know that was there. Or you're in a new situation and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that would trigger me that way. And being gay, like, has it always been easy to be gay?
So you know what? When I first came out, so with me, I didn't come out by choice. I was forced out. Quick story in a nutshell, my stepmom, when I was living with my dad, my stepmom found a letter that my boyfriend at the time had wrote me. She read the letter, called my dad called my mom, and then next thing I know, there's this whole intervention that's happening if I like boys or not. And so in the moment, it was kind of like, okay, I can keep lying and keep trying to hide it, or I can just say, fuck it.
Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And so kind of once my parents grappled with it in their own way, I think that's where most of the work came, was my parents, especially with my dad, and love my parents to death, but they had to grow with themselves and knowing that their only child was gay. And so that was the work that needed to be done. But like with my friends, blessed. Yes, I was blessed. I have friends that was like, we kind of knew before you did. Like,
they were like, yeah, how did you know? And I was like, well,
right,
society great. I don't know.
Right. Like, we were just waiting for you to, we was waiting for you to tell us. And so that's kind of what it always been until recently. So part of going through my last relationship and being with someone who was not out, I had to hide pieces of myself because I was with somebody who wasn't out. And so when I was around his family, I had to watch what I say, watch what I called him, make sure I didn't have too much tood in my, in my voice or body language. And so having to do that for 5 years, you kind of put yourself back in the closet a little bit. My current boyfriend, his name is Michael. We have been best friends forever, for 16 plus years. We've known each other. And when him and I first met, he was that way. He was like, I could never see myself getting married to a man. And yes, I like guys, but he had his own struggles. And I was the one that was like, hey, we're gay and we're here. Like, this is what it is. And be proud of yourself. And I'm going to marry a man. And like, I was this gay soldier.
Yeah.
And so fast forward to now, we have like switched.
Oh, really?
Yes. He is so comfortable with himself. He has this amazing group of gay friends. He knows stuff that I don't know. And I'm just like, what the hell? And he even said it. And one day we were talking and he was like, it's so weird to see this switch with us. And he was like, I feel like who you were then, you kind of like lost that a little bit. And so when he said that, that was a trigger for me.
It was like trained out of relationships. It was like you said, you had to almost go back closet, but you didn't even know you were in there.
No, not at all. And, and so I've been wrestling with that a little bit. Like, I lost a part of myself because I was so used to putting it up for this relationship that I was in. And so I had to emotionally deal with that, and so him and I had a conversation about it, my boyfriend and I, and, he even said like, is that triggering for you? And I was like, it is, because I feel like a part of me is gone. I got to try to find out how to get that back. I've been grappling with that. How do, to that free and fabulous Anthony that I was so many years ago.
And I think you are freeless, but I hear you and I get, and I feel like sometimes a part of you is stolen.
Yes.
I let someone, when I am this, we'll say, symbol or whoever you were, everything about you stood for all your beliefs and aligned exactly what you believed in. How did I allow this person who is not even out to put me back in the closet. How in the world did I let myself like dim my light, right? Like I keep talking,
Yes.
never let anyone dim my light again because of A, B, and C. And I
Yep.
think it happens so subtly. You don't even know it's happened
Yep.
until
Until you look up. Exactly. Yep. And I think that's such a great way to put it, Sawyer. It's like my light was dimmed. And so, for somebody who once was this dim light to now shine brighter than me, I'm just like, what the hell? Like, wow. And so I've been in this space now where it's like, how do I get my light back bright? And not even back bright, but brighter than it was before and that it's ever been. And I think like that's where I currently am, is I'm getting my light to be at its brightest. So
let's talk about Michael a little bit. I got to meet him the other day, and he's
you
so
did get to meet him the other day.
sweet. He's not as boisterous as you, but
No, he is such an introvert. It's not even funny.
he's amongst all the MCP people, and we can be very in your face.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But you've been best friends for 16 years. So what changed or what happened?
What happened? I will say what happened is I came to my senses. Michael has always known that we were going to be together. Let him tell it. He says, I knew the moment I met you that you were who I wanted to be with and spend the rest of my life with. And so reflecting back on our 16 years and our up and downs and our breakups and our times of disconnect, like it makes sense. We just always found our way back to each other. I always say that him and I, we grew, we just never grew apart. And so we tried to be together one time and he wasn't ready. And so we broke up and he had to go and figure himself out. And then the second time that we tried to be together, I wasn't ready and I had to go and figure myself out. And so we both have gone through these journeys in our lives that I feel like made us who we needed to be together now. And so like I look at our relationship now and it's so mature. It's so seasoned. It's like, it's so clear. We both know what we want. We both know how to get it. We both know what our end game is. And I always say that our relationship is like aged wine. It's just been kind of just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. And so now it's just, let's do this.
And even to see your face like light up makes me so happy. And to know that you can like be in a place where you are makes me so happy. So you said you both were on this journey. Questions I asked is, I feel women embrace this healing journey very easily. Do you think this healing journey, and I keep putting in quotes, I don't know what else to call it. Do you think it's different for men? And do you think that men or different cultures, black, white, men, women, gay, straight, see healing differently? Like you do need it, you don't need to do it.
For sure. So along the lines of gender, just men and women, I think society has painted this narrative that men are always supposed to be these strong entities. Like, so we don't really need to heal because 24/7 we are supposed to, nothing is supposed to bother us. We're not supposed to be vulnerable. We're not supposed to cry. We are supposed to be just strong. And I think that's why mental health is such a big deal, especially for black men. So then when you add in the whole element of race, black men really get painted to be these super hard, always tough, never vulnerable, let stuff roll off their chest type of men. And then don't even add in the element of sexuality. When you do that, then it's really this whole thing of like, nope, that's not correct. Those two things don't go together. And so we bottle stuff up because we want to fulfill this facade. We want to fill these societal norms. And so we bottle things up. We say that to go to therapy basically says that we're crazy and we don't want to be, labeled as crazy. And so all of these stigmas start to exist and it just creates more mental health issues that we typically see adults go through, black adults, black kids. It's just this cycle.
Yeah, and not knowing how to deal with it. So let's say someone's listening right and they're like, yeah, I would never go to therapy. No, I know, I would say the same thing. But what is something less intrusive we could say that someone could just start? Like, okay, therapy's not for you right now. Just start doing this.
Journaling.
Okay, I hate writing.
Definitely.
I don't hate writing. Let's say someone says, I hate writing. Where would you even start?
So then I would say record yourself. Because sometimes I hate writing too. Like I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I don't feel like writing this. I have all this stuff to get out and I don't feel like doing it. So sometimes I'll write. Sometimes if I don't want to write with a pencil, I'm a huge texter. So I
Okay.
have I also have a digital journal on my phone. And
Okay.
so I'm able to quickly just kind of text my
Gotcha.
thought. That helps. If I don't want to do anything with my hands, my digital journal also has a microphone option. I hit my microphone and I just let it out and I just speak. And yeah, it's an app.
What's it called?
I knew you were going to ask that. So it is called Journey.
Journey? Journey.
Journey. And it is a digital journal. You can lock it with a passcode. It's so user friendly and it allows you can put pictures in there and you can attach your emotions on that particular day. And I love it. And it just allows me to journal the way I want to journal in that moment. So I always say start with there. You got to have an outlet. And if you don't like journaling at all and you just absolutely hate it, meditation.
How do you start with that?
Carve out some time in your day to really just sit and just be in a moment. Close your eyes. And if you don't know how to meditate, use Calm app. Find a meditation app and then just kind of coach yourself through it. And meditation looks different for all types of people. Sometimes my meditation involves me laying on the floor, playing some music. Hopefully no one tries to come and get me for this, but like I spark up and I just let my thoughts go, but whatever outlet works for you, sometimes my outlet is the gym.
Oh yeah.
Going to the gym and just lifting some weights, put my AirPods in, running. You just got to find an outlet because to keep stuff bottled up inside, it does no good. It does no good for you at all. And so that's something that I've learned, especially being a black man who is gay and being a black man who is a leader and an educator, because so much of my work requires me to pour into others. I'm pouring into adults. I'm pouring into kids. And so sometimes I come home and I'm absolutely depleted.
Yeah. Got to get it back. You got to get it back to your bodies.
Exactly. I got to come home and find time to pour into my boyfriend, find time to pour into my dog, find time to pour into myself. And so you got to have an outlet.
All right. So the tip we're taking away before we get to two final questions, the tip we're taking away is do something to start. If you don't want therapy, journal. If you don't want to write, the app is called Journey. If you don't want to do that, start meditating. Lay on the ground, sit in a chair, sit quietly. But the journey to healing, as difficult as it is absolutely amazing when you come out on the other side.
Yes.
So my question then for you is, again, you had asked me like, when do you know, or how would you feel, or whatever. When was a moment, I know you had talked about on the porch, like kind of crying, but when was a moment that you all of a sudden looked around and you were like, oh my gosh, I think I'm healing. Like, I think I'm dealing with the stuff.
It was a moment after therapy.
Okay.
And it was a moment where I was talking through some patterns that I often show in relationships and defense mechanisms, triggers. That was like the theme of our conversation. And I left my therapy session and I was able to be like, this is why I do this.
That is the coolest moment when you
yes, like to reach a level to reach a certain level of understanding who you are and how to make yourself better it's so refreshing. It is so refreshing. And so to be able to pinpoint my flaws and say like, wow, like I do this and this is why I do this is major. So like one big thing for me, cell phones. I'm a tech head at heart, as you know, but cell phones, I have such a love-hate relationship for cell phones. And I could not understand why for longest. Like when I was in relationships, I was that person that would go through a cell phone. Even when I was in relationships and my boyfriend would be on his cell phone, I would see it and it was triggering for me. Like, what are you doing? Who are you texting? And I couldn't for the life of me find out why that was. And so through talking through my therapist, we came to this realization that like every time I was cheated on in a relationship, a cell phone was involved. It was like the murder weapon of a crime.
Secret, right?
Yeah. And so she said, that's probably why you associate or you have an issue with cell phones, because in your mind, through your experiences, you associate cell phones with cheating. So when your boyfriends are on their cell phones or they're giving their attention to their cell phones and not you, your mind has kind of hardwired itself to be like, okay, you're giving your attention to somebody else through this device. And so knowing that then allowed me to kind of start to unwire that mindset, and just being able to do stuff like that.
I feel empowered when I get to pinpoint things. And I just recorded a solo episode coming out next week that talks about the more you get to know yourself, no one can then tell you about yourself anymore.
Bingo.
Because, yeah, I know that. That's why if someone came to me and said, like, well, you're a bad friend. I think that's the thing I gave. I would be like, okay. Because I know things I have done. I know not all of it is true. I know it is true for me. And it's like when you can own, like, yeah, cell phone's tricking me because I was cheated on. And, like, all of a sudden, no one can tell you about who you are anymore. And you own your story instead of someone else trying to own you. And I think that's such a powerful thing. So
yes.
Figure out your triggers, everybody. Figure out your triggers.
Yes. And fix it.
Yeah, and fix it. And they're not going to get fixed right away. That's the other thing. Like, you're going to maybe you know about cell phones. And your boyfriend about it. Like, this is a trigger. It's not going to go away. It's still going to be there. But at least you're able to talk through it and be better about it. But I think the biggest thing is just being able to own it.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we wrap up, and I just absolutely love this conversation, 2 years ago, March 2021, looking back, what would you tell yourself to avoid? What would you have done sooner? Any of those two things?
So what would I tell myself to avoid? I would tell myself to avoid continuing to put myself on the shelf and to avoid dimming my light. What would I have done sooner? I would have ended my relationship sooner. And then what's the next piece? What would I tell myself? I would tell myself to start healing sooner. Start doing the work earlier. Like I wish I would have started therapy years ago. I wish I would have found that book years ago. Because I just think about like where I could be, how much further I could be now in my healing if I would have started it a while ago. But hey, you know, everything happens when it's supposed to happen. But yeah, I would have been like, hey, go to this website, meet this therapist, and start now. Chuck the deuces to him because he's not worth it. And start to get yourself ready for what's to come down the line. Like
anyone listening, looking for a signal, or you're looking for that flag, or you prayed to God or the universe or wherever you're at right now, and you're like, send me something. This is the signal. This is the sign.
Your signal. We are your signals, people.
Call that therapist right now. End the relationship. Start the journey. Even if you can't end the relationship, start healing now, and the rest will figure itself out.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, Staton, I have absolutely adored having you on.
I love being on here. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate
you doing this podcast. Like, this is awesome.
This is episode 10, which will be airing on April 9th. So 10 episodes in. And also, you're my first man. So welcome. You're my first man. But I love who you are, and I'm so proud of how much you've grown. And I think anyone that knows you, you have absolutely turned into this king that can take on the world. And I honestly can't wait to see what you do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. To my 9 listeners.
Shout out to the 9 listeners. I love it.
Please be kind on this Sunday. And if you can't be kind, ask for forgiveness and move forward. See you next week.